Wife Swap, the reality TV show that's been a guilty pleasure for many of us since it first aired back in 2004. The concept's simple: two families, each with their unique dynamics and quirks, swap wives for a week, and we get to see the drama that unfolds. It's been a ratings winner for years, with its blend of humor, tension, and heartwarming moments. But recently, things took a very dark turn, and that's what we're going to explore today. Wife Swap's premise is pretty straightforward. Two families, usually with very different lifestyles, values, and parenting styles, agree to swap wives for a week. The goal's to learn from each other, and maybe even find a new appreciation for their own partners. It's a social experiment, of sorts. But as we've seen time and time again, things can quickly get out of hand when you throw strangers into an unfamiliar environment. The producers, of course, love the drama, it's what makes for good TV. But when does the pursuit of entertainment cross a line, and put people's safety at risk? The specific incident I'm referring to involved two families, the Smiths and the Joneses. On the surface, they seemed like a great match, both had young kids, both were struggling to balance work and family life. But as the show progressed, it became clear that these families had some major issues. The Smiths were strict disciplinarians, while the Joneses were far more laid back. The tension was palpable from the get-go. As the two wives settled into their new homes, it wasn't long before the cracks began to show. Mrs. Smith, in particular, seemed to be struggling to adapt to the Joneses' more relaxed way of life. She was used to being in control, and the lack of discipline in the Jones household was driving her crazy. Meanwhile, Mrs. Jones was finding it tough to connect with the Smith kids, who seemed to be rebelling against her authority. The families involved in this particular episode were, on the surface, pretty ordinary. The Smiths were a middle-class family from the suburbs, with two young kids and a comfortable lifestyle. The Joneses, on the other hand, were a bit more free-spirited. They lived in a small town, and had a more bohemian way of life. But as the show progressed, it became clear that there were some deeper issues at play. Mr. Smith, in particular, seemed to be struggling with anger issues, while Mrs. Jones had a troubled past that was slowly beginning to surface. The tension between the two families was building slowly, but surely. Mrs. Smith was getting increasingly frustrated with the Joneses' lack of discipline, while Mrs. Jones was feeling like an outsider in the Smith household. It was only a matter of time before things came to a head. The critical moment came when Mrs. Smith discovered that Mr. Jones had been keeping secrets from his wife. It was a small thing, in the grand scheme of things, but for Mrs. Smith, it was the final straw. She confronted Mr. Jones, and things quickly escalated. The argument that followed was intense, with both families getting involved. It was shocking, to say the least, and left me wondering how things had spiraled out of control so quickly. As things escalated, it became clear that the producers had lost control of the situation. They were so focused on getting good TV that they'd forgotten about the welfare of the participants. It was a sobering reminder that reality TV can have real-life consequences, and that sometimes, the pursuit of entertainment can go too far. In the end, it's a sobering reminder of the importance of prioritizing safety and well-being in reality TV. The incident on Wife Swap was a wake-up call for all of us, a reminder that there are real people involved, with real emotions and real lives. Let's hope that the producers take a step back, and rethink their approach to reality TV. Thanks for watching, guys. If you've got thoughts on reality TV safety, be sure to leave them in the comments below.